Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And tonight we're speaking with Viviane Chauvet, and we're going to be talking about the pineal gland cosmology. What does that mean? Well, Viviane's going to go into it more, but we're going to get, and she's going to speak about cultivating matching frequencies of the heart mind, exploring the third eye awareness, connecting to the pineal gland structure and functions, a visual meditation that we're going to get to experience to activate the pineal gland consciousness, and so much more. So, again, we're going to go into a beautiful transmission with Viviane. And if you're not familiar with Viviane, she is quite extraordinary. The consciousness that she brings in and the way that she translates it in a way that we can receive it and ingest it and normalize it is absolutely amazing. So Viviane's an interstellar being who ascended thousands of years ago. Her soul avatar essence has returned in a projected hybrid human form as an emissary for the re-ascension timeline. She's renowned for her advanced healing services, and she's conducted over 23,000 private sessions worldwide over the past 12 years. As an oracle for Arcturus, her mission consists of traveling, from star system to star system and assisting civilizations on the verge of their ascension process. And with that introduction, Viviane, welcome back to Beyond the Ordinary.
Thank you so much, John. It was a joy to be here with your wonderful audience and your team. It is
Mm.
wonderful to be here again on Beyond the Ordinary. And what an extraordinary title, because we are going really beyond perceiving ourselves as ordinary beings. We are these beautiful cosmic being of light, and we are discovering our own profound nature. So it's always a joy as an Arcturian being. I myself come from a universal aspect of creation as an Arcturian, and to be able to bring that, how could I say, remembrance, that inspiration for people to really rekindle with the full potential of who they are.
Mm. Well, let's get into the pineal gland cosmology. And, I like to take it down into the basics. What is it specifically about the pineal gland that is such a resource for our ascensionary process? And what understanding is it that you're bringing in and translating for us that's available so that we can go ahead and integrate and activate what's possible with this particular gland?
Absolutely. This is a very important gland that has been recognized or known as the seat of the soul. And if you look at the ancient timelines of Lemuria and Atlantis, for example, these two timelines are very important right now into the ascension process. The function, the purity, the essence of the pineal gland were very much in this original divine blueprint. So there's a lot of faculties and a conscious connection that goes through the pineal gland. And this is why I chose this very important topic and how we can really activate the ancient light faculties, which will go deeper during my wonderful online seminar or workshop in August. But if you feel for a moment, just the energy right really well comprised in the center of your brain, so strategically positioned in a way that is in constant communication as a gateway for higher consciousness. And if you feel today the energy or the cosmology or the original divine blueprint of the pineal gland, it contains so much more virtue, whether it's known as another third eye of intuition. It's really also connecting with the DNA template, the science of the consciousness. It really helping us to go deeper in terms of rekindling with natural faculties. You know, in my practice every day, John, I hear people says, I'm a light worker. I meditate. I've been on a journey. I'm a seeker. I want to open my channel of communication. I'm ready to embrace the connection to my higher self, with my cosmic self, or my galactic groups, and so forth. Well, part of the cultivation of that higher consciousness really comes from understanding that your body or you came as a design that has already these natural faculties. And the pineal gland is one of the natural faculties that simply have been repressed a lot through the descendant into compressed 3D fragmented consciousness. So I always use Lemuria and Atlantis as 2 points of reference because so many souls can relate to. And how many souls, how many of you feel a connection to Lemuria or Atlantis, and even both? And we were there, we experiment, we remember, we want to go back to embodying this aspect of ourselves. Well, the pineal gland is this sacred conscious antenna that will really help to reintegrate what has been either forgotten or simply suppressed. And we are in a time of complete re-expansion. So this is why when I really cultivate what is the topic we want to explore, what would be the meaningful energies to bring the pineal gland came to us, because there's so much awakening in consciousness, there's so much awakening in our body template, our faculties, our clairs, our DNA. And I'm like, oh, we have to bring, because the pineal gland is also the seed for the master cell. And so you can see that complexity of this wonderful ecosystem of consciousness that coexists within ourselves. This is why we chose to explore this a little bit further.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you see that the capacity of us really working with the pineal gland, and if you were reactivating us, do you sense that there's an increased capacity that we have now because of the ascension process that we're all going through?
Most definitely, John, and I would say it's truly interconnected. There's a complete interconnections between the expansion on the conscious field and the reactivation of certain very innate faculties. Now, whether it's directly how our chromosomes are evolving, the way our body become more luminous template and higher conduit, well, the pineal gland has a direct connections in working with the faculties of the third eye. But third eye is more than just having vision. It's our ability to move back into a multidimensional self. So this is why the correlation is so close. Yes, go ahead, please.
How can someone tell if their pineal gland is actually more available and becoming more available, and when it's not? Like, and sometimes, I'll go through experience where sometimes my forehead is thumping and I can feel something's activating, and that's just like, okay, something's happening there. For other times, it just seems quite normalized for me, and I don't necessarily feel it shut down, but because it's not as active, I'm curious if maybe I'm hindering something that's possible with it.
Well, it's a good observation, John, because if you look at what you're cultivating every day, what we're all going through a lot of a retraction and expansion. Look at just a few months since 2024. March, April has been extremely condensed, where we're going to go deep into the nighttime of the soul, understanding what is holding us back. What is also the false belief system, the projection, the limitation of the lower mind. What kind of limitation and old structures are we liberating ourselves from? So, like you mentioned, sometimes you're going to feel tingling sensation or vibration, and you feel, okay, this is it. I'm on the verge of another awakening. And I would say, yes, you are. At the same time, there's no need to feel necessarily physical symptoms in order to embrace different form of awakening within yourself. It really stems directly from what state of awakening, of state of consciousness you are the most at. And that's nothing to do with some of the emotional fluctuation we may go through. It's normal to feel sometimes that, are we still advancing? Are we still really progressing? I don't really feel it today. It doesn't mean that everything you've done is shutting down or stopping. It's simply saying that right now, this is what you need to experiment and have compassion with yourself. So all aspect of you, including your pineal gland, your natural faculties, your master cells, your DNA, all of it is all in synchronization with you. It's a symbiotic conscious level of expansion that will continue to expand with you. It doesn't mean everything come to a still point. It's giving you the breathing room that you need, maybe to catch your breath, to feel. I'm going to allow myself to go more inward. I feel it. If you want to know what is the best way, ask your pineal gland. Connect consciously to the consciousness, to the intelligence of your gland, and says, reveal yourself to me. I am ready to embrace a more conscious partnership with you, just like you can do with your third eye, just like you can do with your own intuitive guidance systems within you. It is a time where we are coming back into remastering that sacred language, that communication with ourselves, regardless of what is going on around us in the environmental, whether it's on a global consciousness, whether it's the energy of the timeline. Take the time to stay connected to you. Any part of yourself, faculties, organs, internal systems are available to communicate with you right now, and they are communicating with you. But the level of receptivity will change depending on the emotional state or the mental state we're in, right? And so when you allow yourself to return in that sacred, complete neutrality and say, I choose this sacred connection within myself, and I can allow, whether it's my pineal gland, whether it's an aspect of my DNA strand, whether it's this inner communication, I'm going to go inward, listen, tone down the distraction of the mind, the distraction of what's happening. And I'm going to allow myself to return to that sacred communion within oneself and see what your gland has to tell you. What story does it have to reveal to you? It is an extraordinary journey to feel it.
Mm-hmm. So we know the heart's a superconductor, or we feel it. It's like there's an essence in my experience as I drop more into heart and cultivate that and that expansion, it's the connection to more profound forms of intelligence and connections from other places just becomes undeniable. And I've had that experience obviously with the pineal gland as well, but why is the pineal gland such a superconductor as well? What makes it so potent?
But if you look at the original function of your pineal gland, it was also what I call a cosmic conductor that connects you to universal consciousness. So you may say there's many ways to connect to the universal consciousness, but at the same time, the pineal gland works directly with the master cell, and the master cell is, think of it as the universal key that unlock the full potential within yourself. The pineal gland has such a level of quantum awareness in it. If you look at the time again, I can feel it already connecting to the Lemurian masters and the Atlantean masters. The level of mastery, the pathway to the creator, the pathway to embracing who we are as a divine universal being. You can also connect and create that grid system that was part of the pineal gland functions. So those function has been suppressed. And what happened is that many of the natural innate ability, like self-healing, decoding the language of your soul, being able to opening up the holographic telepathic communications faculties, all this state of awareness has been very diminished because, overall humanity has sunk down into a more third dimensional base or fragmented aspect of seeing themselves. So think of it as the pineal gland is a reminder of the communication as a conduit directly with spirit. It helps you to remembering the pathway to attain this higher awareness. It's almost like rediscovering a map that is encoded with a multitude of markers that helps you to re-understand that the way your soul synchronicity works with you and your divine blueprint, that pathway, that map of your higher awareness is available to you right now. There's no need to look elsewhere. If you turn in and tune in and allowing to says, pineal gland, I wish to understand the decoding of your sacred ancient language. And
Mm.
you would say, how will I know? It's not a how will you know, it's the certainty of the knowingness that will come with it. So that means that it helps to release ourselves from the control of the lower mind, the filtering system that the lower egoic mind has put in place as coping mechanism, protection mechanism. We have to protect ourselves, protect my heart. So I'm going to let my mind filtering everything out. So it helps to releasing that limitation and reopening the sacred mental faculties. So think of it as I am rekindling with a higher aspect of who I am. And we're going to need to step into that space to re-embodying the sacredness of who we are. If we're come together as a community on the planet, for the planet, and with each other, well, let's go back to the basic. Let's go back to the essentials. That in addition to the gateway of your heart, your pineal gland is part of these ancient functions, a part of you. And we
Mm.
see that when we connect with the human template from an intergalactic perspective. As an Arcturian, we can see the holographic original state of what the pineal gland was designed for. So we want to support everyone to return naturally in that space, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I really also appreciate how you brought in the protective mechanisms that we are allow our mind to be guardians for. And it's perhaps it's served for a while, but it really blocks the potentiality of what's available. And really, when we start functioning organically with how the system is supposed to function, our system, and allow its brilliance to really take hold. It's the matching frequencies of what we would consider dense. It's not penetrable. It's oil and water. It's not a world that it can necessarily live in. But we have to cultivate that within ourselves. And I believe we're being called to cultivate that full throttle instead of with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas right now, which is what we've been doing for a long time in spiritual communities, especially.
That's a good observation, John. And this is why we feel at this point of the Masters of Light coming back to understand, to demystify all the great gift that you came with. The
Mm.
human template is really extraordinary. It's one of the most powerful and complex machinery, so to speak, or technology there is. So if you look back again in terms of on what the third eye, I keep in here the third eye, yes, I understand, through the connection of your pineal gland, it's really gapping the bridge
Mm.
between the physicality or the physical part of you as a human being and the divine spiritual being that you are. It creates that bridge of connection. So you talk about frequencies. The pineal gland is also like an antenna that vibrates and it connects to different cosmic frequencies or light spectrum frequencies. And through the ability of what it is, when we restore the pineal gland to its original design, it has the ability as a conductor to bring in these new light spectrum frequencies even into the body, through the spine, as well as an energy matrix, a conscious conduit of energy and consciousness. And imagine opening that seat of the soul even into your heart center. And I would say even more right at the thymus chakra with the higher heart, the very center, the key aspect of your essence where your enlightenment is taking place. So it really brings you back into rediscovering a fuller spectrum of your potential. People
Mm.
think about what is my soul purpose? What are my gifts? I have I'm inclined to do healing. I want to help people. Well, can you imagine if you have the full conscious aspect of your internal map or the pathway of your gift, your abilities, what you brought in with you, and says, I'm going to utilize it, activate that part of myself to be of service to others, or to bring in more light in the world, to live more as a conscious cosmic human being. You're transforming your planet, you're transforming the entire global consciousness. And it's very empowering because everyone have access to these faculties as a part of who you are. This is why we chose to bring yourself back to understanding essential aspect of what spiritual awakening means and how the ripple effect it has for your life as conscious co-creator, to be able to live more in the empathic response of your heart, rather to be trapped into these mentalized or mental construct energy that limit your own potential, if that makes sense.
It does. And there's also, again, the intentionality in what we have, and when we're really strong, there's a conviction and that intentionality that awakens when you're aware of what's possible, and not just the gifts that you're receiving for your own sake, but you can't help but to become aware that they become a gift that you give to others, and the ripple of your energetic field, however you decide to utilize them. There's no wrong way from that overflow to be of service and to give to others. But if the intention isn't lined up, we find that that's when we get those bumps along the road of life, or things don't match the way we want, or we're not in a resonant field with what we know is possible. So it's so important to be aware of that. I have a couple of questions for you, and I want to do them back to back because I just want you to roll with them. Um, are humans the only one with a pineal gland in the way that we carry, or do other beings, from your awareness, is there also a mechanism within them that is, I'll call it this lighthouse for an activation of connection to frequencies and the cosmology of it? And from the human side also, what can we begin to do or be aware of to help facilitate the blossoming of that function within us?
Yes, two really powerful questions. So the other intergalactic or interstellar civilizations, it's a thing that our physiology or anatomy has shifted a lot and more reflective of where you come from. So the pineal gland, the way that sacred gland has been made right in the center of the brain with the master cell and all the function connecting, it's very unique in that way to the human template. Okay, it was always designed according to the original celestial human template in ways to give it us a direct gateway of higher consciousness that will connect the being in a constant state of bliss and connection with the supreme source or the prime creator. Ancient intergalactic civilization like ourselves, like the Arcturians, is that we have other ways to maintain ourselves in a constant vibrational oneness with the all there is, or the law of oneness of the supreme aspect of the creation. So we have other ways. So each beautiful civilizations represent an aspect of creation, an aspect of the prime creator. So in that way, we have learned to appreciate and understanding how from the original human or humanoid template, how it has descended, it has a potential to reascend. So it is directly interconnected to your second question in the sense that understanding the function of the pineal gland, just that as part of your reascension, is opening that gateway again. So you're no longer trapped or feel trapped in terms of trying to figure things out and trying to step by step getting out of that seemingly maze or that labyrinth called the third dimensional matrix reality, and to feel like, okay, I got this component here, I got this piece here, I got this piece. Instead is go inward and open that gateway and feel that I am utilizing my pineal gland consciously to achieve a higher state of conscious reconnection with the supreme source or prime creator of all there is. You're calling upon omnipotence, omnipresence into your life. I would say this is much more direct than going to the maze and just having a little piece here and there. You can
Right.
still gather the puzzle, but there's other ways to achieve this.
Yeah, that's so important. And we are going on the exponential route on that superhighway, which is wonderful. What would you consider some of the things that would atrophy our capacity to utilize the pineal gland?
Well, it's been generations, John. It's nothing that everyone has done in this lifetime. It's been generation and generations of atrophy in terms of multitude of gifts and abilities. This is why we call ascension the return, the grand return into understanding, basically in terms of who you really are, rather than to see yourself as if I'm an earth human being and that's all there is to me. So I'm looking at different places in your history, in the earth history, whether it's from ancient Egypt and even before that, Atlantis, Lemuria, Babylonia. If you look at, the time of the Library of Alexandria and all of this, you can tell us a multitude of factors have contributed to the descent of lower consciousness. First was the impression of disconnect from Supreme Source or the Prime Creator. Second is the egoic mind taking over and mimicking Lord God energy, or thinking that we can do better or we can create. And it was a lot of miscreation that took place out of these misuse mental faculties that was disconnected from the empathic response of the heart, and a disconnect, or seemingly a disconnect, from Supreme Source. So that's just some of the overall factors, but it's been generations in the making. Now that it's been a reawakening coming back on the planet through the ascension timeline, even in the grid system of Gaia and globally in a global consciousness, these natural faculties that was very well utilized, and even in the time of Egypt, are coming back more and more. And as we speak, I just saw a beautiful orb of light. So my delegation are speaking to me, sending me orbs that says, yes, that was a time frame. Yes, you're on point with that. So we're simply returning to re-understanding. Think of it as a rediscovery. Like when you travel to Egypt, you're rediscovering all these pyramid and structures and temples. It's a rediscovery. They've been existing for thousands of years. They've been there for a long time. Well, it's the same thing with your sacred inner temple. You're rediscovering what your inner temple is truly capable of. What at a soul level, what energy, knowledge, what revelation can you use to really step into a completely awake co-creator. Once you step to be a completely awake co-creator, you will release yourself from the paradigm of miscreation or misuse of power or misuse of faculties that were no longer understood or simply were forgotten, and they were no longer supported with the necessary spiritual maturity and conscious understanding of what these faculties are about. For example, your mind. Your mind is a huge, huge reservoir of co-creative energies, and yet people has a very hard time to discipline their mind. And what they do is they send signal every day. Thousands of thoughts are being produced, and all these energy produce thought forms, and these forms create waves of energies. You're not aware of it, but your ecosystem around you are. Your loved ones are affected by it. Your environment is. Gaia and the grid systems are, and even it goes well beyond this planet. So your brothers and sisters of the stars, we are being bombarded by all these waves of thoughts that constantly come from the planet. That's only one example of it.
Well, and there's a lot that comes through also, because as you're talking, as we're rising in consciousness to kind of talk around a little bit what you were saying also, it's that there's a lot of talk, in the communities. Well, fluoride's going to shut down your pineal gland, and chemtrails is working towards it, and EMF is working with your energetic body, and your body's fighting it. And that all may be true, and I'm sure it is. But also, as we work on elevating our energy and going more the direct path, we actually supersede those inhibitors in ways that it can't hold us down anymore. And really, the key isn't to fight against supposedly what's polluting our capacities. Our calling here is really to rise above it, if you will, to get to a certain level of frequency that not only we communicate past those veiled layers of intelligence, but that we also become a stronger collective raising each other up beyond it. And I'm curious what your thoughts and opinions are about that.
Well, absolutely. So we understand that there's a lot of bombardment that overflow the global consciousness of humanity, and whether it's through all these, whether fluoride and chemtrail and all of this. But again, all of this will affect you in the capacity that you give it power and authority.
Mhm.
It's more like what we're seeing the most is more of a reversal of a huge thought system. Well, before it was more in terms of how can I counteract what is a huge authority has over me, and I will attempt to make the best out of it and live my life. And that
Mhm.
is, you're shifting out of it. This is part of what the labyrinth we were referring to.
Mhm.
Okay. The labyrinth, it keeps you so busy that you forgot in the first place that all you have to do going, oh, what a minute. I'm no longer going to play and contribute to that. And they go, ah, we were counting on you because our chemical aspect, or the fluorides, or what we put in the water in your sky, we're counting on you to feed it into your vibration, your light, your authority, to make sure it gets exactly the result we want to have in your body. That reminds me of when children play with each other, and if one wants to take leadership and control the rest of the group, but if one member says, I'm not recognizing your authority, I'm going to take my tools and leave the sandbox, well, it
Mhm.
completely shut the dynamic of that sandbox. Because that one member who said, I'm no longer going to recognize you to have this authority over me and my body and the quality of my health, and you take your tool symbolically and you leave the sandbox, you just shifted the entire ecosystem of the sandbox. So it's a very simplified but yet relatable example of what you speak of. So what I personally do when I see those so-called chemtrail, I look at them and say, oh, fluffy energies. And I look at them through my third eye. I activate the gateway, the crystalline faculties of my pineal gland and my third eye, and I send like a beam of light, a crystalline beam of light. And I said, just by my intention, I am rewriting the structure aspect and the intention, or even the chemical composition of what is over my head right now. I send it love. It is done throughout infinity, and I move along. I
Mhm.
look at it, I do my work, it's done. That is the one moment I give my attention to do what I need to do. Then I shift my intention to where do I need to be. And other symptoms appears too, and a lot of people feel like a lot of pressure around the head, right at the top of their head, right around the frontal lobe or the occipital lobe. There's a lot of pressure around these points. That's because your vibration is shifting so much alongside your awareness that these points needs to be open clearly. So you can just gently, with your middle finger, which is your healing finger, by the way, very powerful finger, just gently do some rotation around your third eye. You can hold your pineal gland with love, your occipital lobe right at the right at this beautiful conjunction of your skull, that curve there, and says, I open these three sacred points with love and divine presence. I am ready to have these 3 points open for my highest and greatest good. I embrace the power of my light. And you can say something in your own way. I don't need to paraphrase word for word, but just that's what I do every day. I connect, or what I do is so I utilize the chakra system of my hands as conductor of universal connection, and I will put my hand on my forehead. I'm holding the occipital for a moment, deep breathing. I release with love. Then I change that for my heart, stomach area, the crystalline core, and I utilize these points of connections. I connect my consciousness to the consciousness of these points that is a part of me. And it's something you can do very easily.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it. And I love that you teach this and you're going to be sharing so much more in the special offer that we're going to go through in a little bit. Vivian, I want to get into some live Q&A also, if you're okay answering questions.
Of
We still
course.
want to do the visual meditation to activate the pineal gland consciousness. You also, we're going to do that in a little bit. And as we start preparing for live Q&A also, it's um, what's the correlation also between our pineal gland and our crown chakra and the access that we have as, well, as a receiver, but both a conduit for receiving and for emitting as well.
Yes, it's all interconnected. It looks like a very conscious grid or a matrix of consciousness. So if you look at the occipital lobe, known as the mouth of God, this was a direct connections. It really opens up even the universal chakra system. And it all interconnects with the faculties of your third eye, the connectiveness to your pineal gland, the crystalline energies to it. And it really opened what we call this sacred energetic matrix of consciousness, opening you to higher realms of consciousness, helping you to really bring in soul fractals, are part of your higher self. It's all about to bring in the next level of light. Remember, the more light you carry consciously in your body, the more your body has the presence of healing itself, shifting, transmuting, going beyond limitation, releasing physical symptoms. It really helps you to come back into this very intuitive, powerful being that you are, even in its human form. So we'll go more into it, but there's a vibrational correlation between it and how you can bring the dimensional frequencies into your field much more consciously. You're no longer at the mercy of a technique or something that you need to learn outside of yourself. It's
Mhm.
right here in your inner library, I call it, of information, right?
Love that. Love that. Thank you for that.
Of
Again, y'all, we're
course.
going to get into the special offer in a little bit, which y'all are going to go deeper into this, and there's a couple of bonuses in there as well. And again, we're going to get into the pineal gland activation in a little bit also, but I want to go to a little bit of Q&A. And I want to start with Lee Culver. Welcome to the call. It's wonderful to see you. And Lee, let's get you to find your unmute button, please.
Hi, John. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. Bonjour, Viviane. Comment ça va?
Bonjour, ça va bien? Merci.
Oui, ça fait longtemps qu'on se voit pas. I'm,
Okay, we're going to talk English so everybody can understand.
I get it. I get
It's
it.
just a hello, how are you?
I just had to give a shout out to Les Québécois, okay? Oh, this is just so rich. I've taken already 7 pages of notes and I missed half of it.
Wow.
So I get yes, I do have a specific question. Okay, so you said a couple of things that I think are really helpful. You know, when we get that hit that we are really going unconscious again, or in a reactive state, or a state of doubt or fear, or, you know, that's not love, basically, right? And
Right.
so there were a couple of things that you said, but I didn't catch it all. So I wonder if you could please repeat them, Viviane. It was, I am no longer giving authority.
I cannot fully recall because when something comes to me, I'm usually
Yeah.
in conduit. But what I would say is I no longer give authority to the control of my lower mind.
Ah,
Yes, that'd be a big one.
And Lee, you'll be able to come back and listen to the replays because, you know, we're going to put them up and you can pause, take notes, and do whatever you want.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
okay, well, I just see this. That, you know how Dee Wallace, who you've had on the show many times. So in her last webinar, she basically said, physician, heal thyself. And what you're doing, Viviane, is, you know, bringing that thread through, because you're giving us exactly the key, because it's basically waking up those 8 imaginal cells.
Yes.
And if we are, you know, confident, self-confident that we are expressing and living in the way, you know, through love, basically, you know, through this kindness of being. And there was something you said earlier, I felt like it was a way to explain it to young children, to have fun exploring, because you are going to get feedback in the world once you operate in a conscious way. Thank you so much, John and Viviane.
Yeah, thank you, Lee.
Wow, you're most
Your
welcome.
enthusiasm. Yeah. I love you. And the recap is so helpful also. So thank you, Lee. Blessings too. Now, Vivian Essie is asking, and I think this is great because there's some geometry that can happen as well. And so Essie's specific question is, does it create like a pyramid inside and an energy force?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking. So geometric light pattern may occur, especially through the pineal gland, because the pineal gland is also very sensitive to vibration and sound. So sometimes as you cultivate and start to establish your own personal conscious connection to your own pineal gland, you may see a pyramid shape. Sometimes other people will see more advanced geometric light patterns or codes, or it can be different, something that is familiar, or it can be something that is a projection directly to your pineal gland. It doesn't necessarily have just a pyramid form or that shape of the triangular form. It can be also some spherical energies, because when the pineal gland brings these vibration, is more into a spherical presence. But it really experiment, have fun with it. Speak to me to the language of sacred geometric patterns and see what patterns resonate the most with you, and see what happens.
So Vivian, when you're saying that to play with it and all that, are you suggesting someone can sit in, ask once, and it'll start showing up, or is it a practice that we want to cultivate, or a combination? What would be your recommendation for someone who wants to be more active in a relational dynamic of what's possible?
Well, everything is a state of cultivation. The more you are cultivating a more present mind, heart, body communication state, are you aware of emotional state, mental energies? Where are you? Are you present? Do you feel stretched or, fragmented into different places? Bring yourself back in. First, I would say, bring all of your energy, your intention back to your sacred space. Return into a sacred, divine, neutral state. And then from that point, open the gateway of your heart. And by stabilizing consciously your vibrational state, you now open your receptive field, or your receptivity is becoming more enhanced, more attuned. You can receive. It will be more than a one-time deal, in the sense that you're repracticing to understand what it feels like. Once you embody it more and more, it may be as easy as I close my eyes, I go into a gentle meditative state, and I can already communicate with my pineal gland, like I can talk to any of my chakras, just like you can talk and communicate with your higher self. So it really becomes an embodiment to cultivation and practice.
Agreed. Great question. Thank you so much. And let's continue with our next caller, Christine. Welcome to the call. No, we can't hear you. You need to get you to unmute.
There I am. Now, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, I'm a holistic healer, and I do a lot of work with frequency. And I have devices that help me with the frequency work that I do. My question is, I'm seeing a lot of things that are happening with animals that are causing them to prematurely die, in my opinion. And what I'm wanting to know is there something I can do to accentuate my pineal gland when I'm working with entities other than humans?
Yes, it's a great question, and thank you for your service, Christine.
Thank you.
First,
Yes.
I very much want to acknowledge you. Very important. Animals are beautiful, sentient, conscious beings, just like you and me. And part of the animal kingdom, one of the things I want to bring perspective is that there's going to be more and more of their consciousness going on into the next timeline. They're already shifting into a more, either the new earth or the higher advanced timeline that we're moving back to more and more. So I've seen as a change in the animal kingdom, many of them come to a full completion with their mission here or their experience here. And many of them will say, I no longer need to stay in the same physical form as long as it used to, because there's a lot of change in that way. So when you see these beautiful animals who seemingly died or transition very quickly or soon, I will invite you through the gateway of your heart. This is where you can also through opening the conscious gateway of your pineal gland and ask the souls of these animals, help me understand, where are you transitioning to? Are you simply returning into your point of origin? Many of them are Syrians or Lyrians or other beings that are returning to their point of origin, or are you already establishing the next blueprint in the new earth, in a new harmonic universe? You can ask this way. I can feel that you will have this natural ability to receive a much more cohesive response that will help you personally in your practice, in your conscious understanding, and how to work with these beautiful beings for what they need.
Now, another question that comes to mind is, if these are, like you said, Lyrians, if they're from Orion, if they're from these different places, and they're in, those are sixth dimensional, I'm going to say sixth, seventh, eighth dimensional, and we are on the third dimension here, and they are expanding, they're going back to where they came from. Is there a way that we can assist them to make that transference easier for them?
Yes, absolutely. Another really powerful question, Christine. So let's say that you've been working with animals, whether it's horse, a cat, a dog, a rabbit, whichever form that they're on.
I work with all of them. I'm a sanctuary person, so yes, I work with all kinds.
Well, I always say a friend of animal is a friend of mine, so thank you.
And you know, I realize there are a lot of starseeds out there as well, and there are things that I can do for them through frequency healing if they need it and want it. It's a matter of them basically finding me.
Yes, well, what you can do is to the unique tone of your heart, you can send a signal, says, throughout the animal kingdom, if you need assistance to understand, either you want to stay in body and I can assist you clearing the old distorted density frequency, I'm going to be here to help you. Or if you need to transition because your time in this form, in this third dimensional density is complete, and I'm going to be there as a clear conduit to facilitate the transition so there's no trauma to the soul. And there's a lot of beings of light who are there to support those souls who transition. You can call upon the Arcturians who are expert at it. You can call upon the angelic kingdom. There's a lot of assistance for souls who need to transition.
Okay.
Christine, thank you so much. Great questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And something that I think is really important to highlight of what you mentioned, Viviane, is that you're asking to become a clear conduit. So if we're carrying density judgment of what the transition, the victimization that's taken place, that's not necessarily being a clear conduit. We're bringing a layer of, again, of judgment and density into the transition. So to become clear, how do we facilitate that within ourselves?
Yes, it's a huge transition as part of course, of the next level of evolution that is taking place for the human beings, the human race, is that we understand as some concept on a 3D level. For a generation, you've been programmed to go like, that is a loss. And I can appreciate deeply, because I'm experiencing emotion in spade here, that when we have a loved ones, whether it's your beloved cat, your dog, a family members, a friend, someone really close to your heart, it's going to create a hit on your heart. It's all about the emotional attachments that makes it difficult. Honor your space. If you need to cry, if you need to honor just that shift, that transformation that transition is taking place in your heart, do it with divine compassion for you, because you're increasing your capacity to hold more light and understanding what divine compassion is about. Honor the being that is about to transition or has transitioned. Honor that. I recently had a very dear friend that I've known for years whose time came and he transitioned. And before I learned of it, in the middle of the night, I physically felt this young man jumping on my bed. I could feel my bed moving, and he was very happy about what he was doing. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Who are you? What do you want? And then the next morning, I've learned that my friend passed away, and he came back and he says, Viv, look at me. Look, I made it back to the light. Look at me. And it was him. So did I feel something? Oh, yes. And I felt it was a kind of a loss. There's a loss of identification on the physical level. I can't talk to him that way. I can't hold his hand. I cannot call him up, say, let's go have lunch. It's all of these attachments that we're used to have. One thing that my intergalactic masters always remind me is that you grow so fond of this world of forms. You grow so fond of these physical identity to feel your dog, hold your cat, nurture your dog, your fish, or seeing nature. We grow fond of these physical emotional attachments. So it's a process of understanding that when a love being transition, allow yourself to transition into higher understanding, light in the process, and being able to allow yourself going to this way, it's going to naturally accelerate your own evolution tremendously, and your conscious understanding of what that transition is truly about.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want to get into the special offer. April or Chris, if y'all pop in the link for the special offer in the chat box. There you go. Chris popped it in there. If y'all want to click on that, this is an opportunity to go into, we're going to get into a meditation to activate the pineal gland in a little bit. Y'all are not going to want to miss that. So that's coming through. But this is going to take you deeper. And this is a webinar that Viviane has created specifically for BTO. It has a bonus in there as well. And as y'all are opening that up, you can also find the special offer, by the way, on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Viviane 32. It'll take you to that same page. As everybody's opening that up, Viviane, I'm curious again, holding the space with the transition, being the clear container or the form that facilitates, perhaps through the consciousness that we hold, the transition. How can we apply that clear consciousness to things that are happening on the other side of the world that we would consider traumatic, unjust, that we have very strong opinions and judgments about? What is it that we can become aware of within ourselves to facilitate the rising of consciousness and the facilitation of the transition into high states of being, as opposed to regurgitating the karma that we're experiencing?
Releasing the karma energy is going to be hugely liberating for the human race. And for those of you who may have family members in places in the world where there's a lot of conflict, government oppressions, limitations, all of it, I want to tell you first, and I am with you. I am in my heart with you. One of the things we can do is that when we see something that is really dear to your heart and says, I no longer wish to see that kind of situation unfolding, whether it's conflict, war, whether it's oppression, whether it's lack, whether it's I want to see the enslavement of animal kingdom to be released. All of these topics. One of the things that I do personally, and it's available to all of us, is I'm going to tune in higher consciousness. I'm going to send what I call my soul essence to my heart into that place, whether it's in Africa, whether it's Middle East, in Egypt, because I was there last year. And so I will send myself and I look at the actual grid system that is generating that hardship, poverty, war, conflict. I'm going to look at the polarization of the fragmented of that grid system, that grid reality. And what I do is that I ask through the prime creator, the supreme source, the unconditional love, the omnipotence, omnipresence that we are. So I call upon my ion presence, and I ask on behalf of an entire civilizations, on behalf of a part of the world, on behalf of all these beings, and I include humans, animals, flowers, plants, soil, everything, on behalf of life. I call upon and ask to completely heal, release, and liberate this old grid of reality. Let everyone restore themselves in their own authority, the light. Let those creating the oppression release themselves from those roles, and those who are being oppressed release themselves from those roles. And I ask that on a karmic level, to the karmic board, that all these roles are being now released, complete, and declare reconciled and resolved. I ask the implementation of a higher fifth dimensional way of creating a new paradigm of reality for that part of the world, for that village, for that city, that country, and everywhere globally, from one hemisphere to the next. So, in other words, give back the authority to all of these beings and ask that it is time to release themselves from those roles and to complete the karmic or the karma behind it. It is done. We are resolving on a historical level, on a spiritual level, in a conscious level, and of course, on a planetary level. And that's what I do.
Beautiful. Love that. Thank you so much for answering that.
You're welcome.
All right, y'all. I hope you have the special offer page open. I'm going to share my screen here. And again, we're going to get into the activation here in a little bit, y'all. But Viviane, if you would guide us through where everybody's going to receive when they participate.
Yes, of course.
Webinar beginning in August. Yes.
So beautifully done. Look at this vibrant energy. I love it. So what we have come together is really going deeper into the pineal gland cosmology, bringing in the ancient light faculties. And we're going to prepare with the Arcturians, Masters of Light, and your higher self, series of direct exercise, experience, upgrades, you're going to receive. We're going to dive into it with higher form of intelligence, wisdom, techniques. They're going to help you to feel, understand, reopen, but also to cultivate and being able to carry that in your life every day and in your sacred practices, whether it's your meditation, whether it's a walk in nature, whether it's whatever you do as a way to cultivate and understanding what these higher frequencies are for you, especially with the heart-mind interfaces we're going to be working with, and understanding also how your pineal gland, even it's an own original crystalline function, really work for you. And being able to have the joy, to rediscovering the joy of understanding and connecting consciously with the language of your own pineal gland, but not just from the gland, from a much more cohesive quantum level for working with your entire symbology of your consciousness and your body. We also have included as a bonus, which is already in a recording, you can go back to what's called the Evolving Human Cosmic Blueprint. And that is also part as what we are shifting from, especially from the solar eclipse that took place at the beginning of April. We're going to be working with many interstellar groups coming in, and we're going to work on how the solar gamma energy has really shifted the cosmic blueprint of your body as an intelligent, beautiful template, and how it changes the upgrade to the subconscious field, the cosmic blueprint of your body to manifestation, meditation, the awakening of course, the occipital globe of your chakra system, the implication of what the Evolving Human Cosmic Blueprint is about, and how it can support you in your day-to-day practices. Awakening as you are a light worker with your loved ones. So this is a beautiful full 2-hour events, and there's a lot of great wisdom, frequencies, exercises, practical points. And I've been receiving a lot of huge really positive feedback about the evolving human cosmic blueprint. So we're ushering in a new breath of life. We are ushering in a new paradigm of living, and we're ready to really move forward with Gaia into the new earth. Let's start with you. So we're going to go live to a Zoom webinar. Yes, we're using Zoom webinar on Friday, August 2nd for the pineal gland activation, the awakening of the ancient light faculties and the cosmology of this wonderful gland. We're going to do that together live. And of course, the recording, the replay will be available to everyone who register, and lots to gain from. And everything that we do is very multi-layered. So you can see that it's going to be very rich, as this conversation has been. So I'm really excited for this special offering.
Yeah, this is awesome. And to dive into these energies, and Viviane's going to be activating even more as she's doing a lot of traveling, being in very cohesive groups, and in those resonance field like we do here on BTO. It's like the energy, like we all seem to kind of rise together, and that expands what we're capable of as well. So it's impressive. So to be in this field with Viviane again in August, you'll receive the recording of the bonus, so you can start activating through that. And again, we're about to go into meditation that you may want to come back on a replay and re-experience. So this is wonderful, y'all. This special offer, it's $99. There's a 2-payment option. You'll get the recording of the live call, again, the bonus as well. And I hope that y'all take advantage of it and go deeper with Viviane and this activation that's available for all of us now. So wonderful offer, Viviane. Thank you for that. Viviane, I think I want to take a couple more callers and questions before we dive into the meditation, if that's okay.
Of course, I'm very happy to do that.
Wonderful. There's a question that came in here. Before I get into that question, let me go ahead and take a live call, and I'll find a question in the meantime. Rocky, let's go to you. Welcome, Rocky.
Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome.
Okay. So I guess this happened a long time ago. I started listening to meditation CDs, and the first time I used it, that next morning I had a very vivid pyramid appear while I had my eyes closed. Okay. So that's the first time I knew that I opened up my third eye. Since then, I still use the CDs, and it seems like every night that I do use them, I get like a lot of pressure up here, and I've had several things happen to me. I've been able to see angels, just like the little Cupid ones. I've seen several of those. I also have mini movies, so I've been able to kind of like train myself. I'll wake up in the morning but keep my eyes closed, and I'll have several different mini movies. Now, a lot of times I don't understand what they're about, but sometimes they're in color, sometimes they're in black and white. I just had different things happen to me. When I do meditate, I can actually see my third eye up here.
So
and I guess, how do I advance from this point of where I'm at? That's what I'm kind of interested in.
It's a good question. So it sounds to me, based on your sharing, that you have been having a series of consecutive experiences. And what it tells me intuitively right away is that you are advancing maybe more that your mind tells you or you realize. So it's not about how much more you can do. It's about mastering what you've been receiving already. So
Right.
For example, that sacred triangulation through your third eye tells you already that there's a portal opening, harmonizing your physical sight to your higher sight, and how you can utilize it as maybe as a portal of connections, or you can transport your consciousness in that sacred triangular energies and says, okay, now reveal more to me. I'm ready to integrate. It's about taking the time to understand each level of these experiences and what it really represents for you at the time, because each experience becomes a rite of passage, so to speak. So it really creates like this natural ladder of expansion without being hasting too fast about what's next for me, how can I do more, what else can I do to expand. You already doing it. Now become the master of it, understand the language of it. It's going to naturally, organically open your doorways for you. You're well on your way. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I hope
Yeah,
it's
it's
what you
wonderful.
felt, Rocky.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
And I would also suggest, again, you're going to have the experience of the meditation here. Again, a different frequency from someone else transmitting who's carrying something. A little bit of variety in that. If it really rings to you, explore different practices as well, because that could bring up
Okay.
clarity within your frequency field. That's like, oh, I recognize that from a past memory, from being on those lands before, from being attached to, or not attached to, but being in that symphonic wave, if you will. And so you'll find. And for me, whenever I have those experiences, a lot of times it just has to be, wow, cool, and then it'll reveal itself eventually, perhaps. But I know it's all part of the stepping stone also of just where my intention and my heart are so curious and passionate about it. There's a magnetism that seems to guide us as well, and I can definitely feel it for you, and that's why that curiosity, the innocence of it, can cultivate so much of what you're seeking as well. I find we try to manipulate it, that sometimes we just kind of miss it, but when we're in flow of it, the fluidity can really create just a beautiful tidal wave of what's possible.
Yeah, I feel like it's like growing pains, It's like, or you're trying to work out that muscle, and it's like, okay,
Yeah, it's beautiful. Congratulations on what you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, I think we should go into the meditation now, if you're okay with that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm open. Absolutely.
Let's go there. I feel this is
Okay.
a great time.
Perfect. Well, at this point, we're going to invite you to make yourself very comfortable. And thank you for closing your eyes. And with your eyes closed, let's just take a moment to truly feel your presence. Let's clear your mind. First, imagine opening the gateway of your mind in the mental realm. And let's bring a breath of fresh air. Allow yourself to release any excess of thoughts, questions, entanglements. Just feel that you're releasing yourself from these energies. And instead, bring those energies back to your heart. And it is through your heart we're going to open today the sacred gateway, or the intelligence field of your heart center. So imagine with each breath that you take, you are bringing in more light and exhaling light. So let's just hold the space here for a moment to allow that light to expand from inside out. Help you to feel this gentle expansion, releasing limitations, releasing also lower frequencies, attachments, just to feel this liberating energies that expand your body, your lungs, your heart intelligence field, expanding your awareness to what else is possible. And allow yourself to reattune and readjust your own vibrational signature with more stability, centeredness, to be grounded into loving presence, honoring a Mother Gaia and the Earth grid system, and to feel that truly that you are this beautiful cosmic universal being of light. And now with the masters of light that we are, with the Arcturians, we're going to open the holographic field. We're going to maintain the field into our higher 5th and 6th dimensional octaves of light. It means that your body will start to naturally resonate with the matching frequencies of our holographic field. It invites you to start to expand more. Allow your body to vibrate a little faster than usual. Still creating this wonderful expansion in consciousness and in the light. And now in the presence of everyone's higher self and your higher self's permission, we're going to start a gentle transmission of new light spectrum frequencies into your pineal gland, right in the center of your brain. Remember that you are receiving only that of the highest light, and you're receiving what you are ready to receive the most today. So let's keep reading into this gentle light frequency transmission. It awakes another aspect of your pineal gland on a conscious level and activate the holographic counterpoint of your gland, which means that it activates naturally the multidimensional aspect and nature of your pineal gland. So let's keep reading, let everything flow. To facilitate the transmission, we're also going to open a gentle spiral of light through your crown and into your spinal cord. So we ask the consciousness of your spinal cord to open itself as a conscious conduit, and allowing also your physical template to receive the nourishment of the light frequencies through the pineal gland, so that your entire body structure receive the same transmission. Just feel the light moving to your spine all the way down to your legs and past the energetic grids of your feet. And through your feet, we're going to expand your body ley lines like root systems. And imagine expanding your roots into the consciousness of Gaia, allowing yourself to ground, feel that you are nourished, supported, and sustained. It allows your body to receive only what it can hold and releasing the rest into Mother Gaia's grids. And in the presence of our mastery and light frequency, it also helps you to nourish your heart, giving you the courage, the strength to feel the purpose of your soul and to continue on your sacred life journey. Trust yourself more. Open further your intuitive internal guidance system. It is through your intention and what you believe in the most that can effectively activate your natural intuitive guidance system. Beautiful. The transmission through the pineal gland is complete for today. Imagine that now the flow through your spinal cord is also complete, leaving a feeling of being refreshed and completely rejuvenated. We're going to now invite you to take a deep grounding breath through your heart and release. One more time, deep breath in and release. Let's take a moment to be fully returned in your physical form, in full consciousness, taking the time to feel all the energy settling in you and as you, and trust that you have received what you need the most today to sustain your most wonderful transformation possible for you at this time. We're going to now gently return ourselves in complete consciousness in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. You can now open your eyes. Welcome back.
Thank you for that, Viviane.
You're welcome, John.
What do you experience as you're guiding that transmission and those that are receiving those waveforms?
Because I am a conscious conduit and I speak on behalf of a collective of advanced being called the Arcturians, I am fully conscious of everything. I simply merge myself with my Arcturian avatar self and allowing myself to expand on such a high level of frequencies and conscious precision. And what we bring is that we attune ourselves to the group of energy or the consciousness of those we are providing the activations for. And what we tell them is that we really communicate with you on a multidimensional level. There's a lot of algorithm of light that is conveyed during the transmission. We also speak to the language of your consciousness and your body, and we always collaborate deeply with your higher self consciousness. So there's a lot going on in the sense that it's a multi-layer of frequencies that are coming through, and these frequencies are different from of language, codes, intentions, whether it's instructions, helping to encore to the next level or to support everyone from where they are to the next level of evolution, what is appropriate for you at this point. But since everything is evolving and everyone is shifting at different pace, different level of consciousness, we simply readjust these waves of transmission that is more suited for each and every one of you. And again, it is done to your higher self.
How can someone listening, as they're activated within themselves and they start feeling again that they just can't help but to get from that overflow that they're receiving, what guidelines would you give them to bring this awareness into themselves to clear their vehicle to become a transmission of those frequencies as well?
It's a choice that you have to make. Remember, we believe in your empowerment. We're going to support you and bring keys and guide you, but we can't do all the work for you. So what you're asking is a little bit of allowing people to step into their own power.
Right.
So you have to choose for yourself. You have to decide what is it that you want, what is it you're ready to embrace, what is it you're ready to bring in more into reality, what reality are you in? And if you feel that has been either above your head, knows that this is beyond your mental mind, this is beyond what you think you're ready for. We're speaking to you as an equal, conscious, empowered being. That's always our intention. This is always the way we do our work. So we're simply allowing and trusting that part of you that's going to coach you to bring the other aspect of you together. So it's bridging a gap between the human, what we can do on this human 3D level versus as a divine being of light, and ask your higher self to guide you. But it really is a choice. It is a conscious decision, a willingness to step in that place. Everybody can do it. We are no exception. We're simply an example, a reminder of what you can do more and really activate in terms of potential. You have all the keys, all the knowledge, all the encoding, and all the gift that you need. Really, you do. So saying, okay, if I have everything I need, now I'm going to choose to align that with myself and to give it power. So instead of give it power externally, give power internally and see how your world is really shifting, your reality is going to match that frequencies. It's the same thing with the word ascension. It's really one-dimensional experience moving into a higher dimensional experience, and you're shifting that way more and more and more. So when you get to open your third eye, or you see sacred geometric patterns, you start to hear tones, you know there's an aspect of you opening. And he says, okay, I'm going to choose to stay in that energy, to welcome these frequencies. I choose to accept that this is part of my ability, and I'm going to consciously align myself with these frequencies in that state of new consciousness, because it's cosmic intelligence speaking to another cosmic intelligence.
All right, we become the translators and the communicators from that. So, you know, I always love to say that we are the technology we've always been looking for.
100%.
Truly. And so these tools and these awarenesses and these practices and the ways to calibrate, it's all not so that we can change our external reality. Our external reality will be a byproduct of how we're changing within this technology of our sovereign beings first. And from there, the changes emit. And so what you're holding, Viviane, and the way that you transmit, again, it's not you're going out and in and out, you're really in. The intentionality is what gives you the authority in the way that you hold it, which is becomes a profound experience for those who choose to be receptors and receptive to it. And sometimes they may not choose consciously, but there's still some type of agreement that provides the communication to be able to start to be translated and received and acted upon, which is wonderful. I love what you're doing, Viviane. I love how you share and again the energy that you're bringing in to provide a matching magnetic force of what's possible. You know, there's this and so much more. The special offer, y'all, is in the chat box again. For any of y'all that missed it, if you need to click on it now before we end the call, click on it, keep it open and read through it. The live course is going to be in August. You'll have a bonus recording that you'll be able to dive into right away as well. $99, 2-payment option, and powerful work and fun work. And how wonderful to discover this part of ourselves even more deeply. It's just, it's your favorite subject, y'all. It's you. It's you. What you get to discover more of yourself and not only heal, but to play with, right?
Yes.
Then getting to the healing. What's on the other side of that? Amazing what's being created. Viviane, thank you so much. It's been an amazing call as always. Thank you for what you do and how you share. Yeah.
You're most welcome, John. Everyone who took the time to listen, to be here, to ask amazing questions, whether it's verbal and nonverbal. I feel like we have captured different thought form and attempted to respond as many as possible. But we are very honored to be here on Beyond the Ordinary as always. And you know that my delegations and our doors are always open to you and your community.
Thank you, Viviane. Thank you, everybody. I love you all so much. I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Have a great day.